In previous lessons, I've been looking at basic rules for using articles, but now we're going to move on to the more advanced rules for why we use a, an, or the. This is lesson 14 in my series, 1000 English Grammar Rules Explained, where you're learning the grammar that you need to reach an intermediate or advanced level of English. And it may be a surprising title, Articles a or an for the second mention, because, and I did teach this in a previous lesson, we usually expect the following. A horse ran across the field. The horse was white. We normally expect a for the first mention of a noun that's singular and is not specific, but then the for the second mention of a noun. But there is an exception. Let's repeat this again and write it in a slightly different way. Let's put this in a different colour too. A horse ran across the field. It was a white horse. Now, what's changed here? Notice that it's no longer the, but it's turned into a, even though it's the second mention of the noun. And the reason why is when we have this structure, subject plus verb plus complement, and it's the second mention, we use a, or of course it could be an if necessary, again. So this is an exception to that rule where you always use the for the second mention. Notice the structure here. It, subject, was verb, and a white horse is the complement. We call to be a copular verb here because it links the information after the verb back to the subject. The subject is not doing an activity that affects the verb. The subject is described. It's not doing an activity that affects the object, not the verb. We have a subject, verb, object, and in most normal cases, the subject does an activity, which is the verb, which affects the object. That's what I should have said. These are all recorded completely live as if you're in a classroom with no edits. So I need to correct myself as I'm going along. But in this case, it's not like that. It was a white horse. It is the subject. Was is the verb. But the complement, a white horse, actually describes the subject. It describes it. So it's not affected by an action here. It's more descriptive. And if this is the case for the second mention of the noun, then if we said a in the first mention, then we would use a in the second mention too. So this is an exception to the rule where the second mention of a noun needs to switch from a to the. If we started off with the, then we can carry on with the. But if we started off with a, in this case, we will stay with a when we follow this pattern, subject, verb, complement, with the second mention of the noun, when it becomes more descriptive in form when we use a copular verb.